Hello everyone, welcome to this first lecture on plotting the story world of In the Flood by Thakazhi Sivasankara Pillai. I would like to begin by offering a very brief introduction about the author Thakazhi Sivasankara Pillai. He was born in Thakazhi, Kuttanadu, Kerala, and he is fondly known as Thakazhi after the place of his birth. He wrote about 40 novels and more than 600 short stories in the Malayalam language. Some of his most famous fiction are Thottiyodu Magan, Chennan and Koyar. The major concern in most of Thakazhi's writing is for the poor, the lower caste members and the downtrodden in society at large. He is in fact known as the friend of the oppressed. Before I delve deeper into the story of In the Flood, I would like to talk initially about what exactly is a story and what exactly is a plot. What is a story? A story is a set of events. According to Manfred John, a story is a sequence of events and actions involving characters. So for him, events generally include both natural and unnatural happenings like the flood or car accidents. An action more specifically refers to willful acts by characters. Willful here referring to deliberate actions. So what is the story of In the Flood? This is a story about a dog that is trapped in a flood and it dies. So this is the story. What exactly is a plot? A plot is a sense-making operation. If we take Peter Brook's definition of a plot, he says in his book Reading for the Plot, plot is about making sense of a text and thereby making sense of life itself. Plot refers to the sequence of events with their causes and effects emphasized. E.M. Forster tells us that, for example, if the king died and the queen died, it is just a story. It just talks about a sequence of events, the king dying and the queen dying. However, if we read something like, if the king died and then the queen died of grief, then that is a plot because causation is referred to there. Therefore, in other words, for E.M. Forster, plotting consists in the creation and also the suppression, suspenseful suppression of causal connections between individual events. Therefore, if we understand these meanings of plot and apply them to In the Flood, what exactly is a plot there? We could say the plot of In the Flood is about a dog dying in a flood because it is not rescued. Or we can say that a dog dies because human beings refuse to rescue it. So these are the possible interpretations of the plot of In the Flood. Now let's look at story and the plot together. Both story and the plot involve events. However, plot talks about the creation of connection or the suppression of connection of events. And if we talk about suppression of connection, there is this associated idea of suspense involved in it too. Now, I would like to take a look at another theorist called Bremond on plotting. He talks about alternatives and possibilities, an interesting idea in terms of mapping the plot of a story or narrative. So, Bremond talks about virtual causes of events which may be desired or striven for by characters but which may never actually occur in the story world. So, the characters in the story hope for certain causes of events which may not be realized in the actual narrative. So, he talks about a network of possibilities, a three-phased triadic branching model where there is an initial situation, a starting point, a premise, and then we have both the actualization, the realization or the non-actualization of the next stage in the narrative. So, we have an initial state of affairs, and then we have a desired outcome, and then we have an outcome that is desired but not realized. Now, if we want to make sense of this plotting, it can be done in three ways. One, it's about making sense, that is, it's about making meaning. The other is about causality in the events. So, causality, as I said, is about connection and suppression of connections among the events. And the final thing that we need to think about in terms of plotting is possibilities. So, what are the possibilities that the characters aspire for, and which of them are realized and which of them are not realized? Now, if we look at the story of In the Flood, let's see what happens. Chennan and his family are trapped in a flood, and then they escape in a boat, but his dog is left behind, and then he dies. So, this in short is the story. So, how exactly is this story set up in the narrative? The narrative says Chennan the pariah had been standing in water an entire night and a day. It had been raining for 3 days. It had been 3 days since his master had escaped to safety. So, this is the initial premise of the story. And how exactly does he survive in a flood? This is how he does. He does not own a rowboat. So, what he does is, inside his hut he had built an elevated platform out of coconut fronds and twigs that jutted above the level of the flood water. So, he builds a raised platform and he stays there on it in order to avoid the waters. In the flood, we see that Chennan has these dependents. So, his dependents include a pregnant wife, 4 kids, a cat and a dog. So, these are the characters in the story at the beginning. And what exactly is the crisis in the story? The crisis is that within the next 12 hours, the waters would have risen above the roof. How does Chennan avoid this crisis is mentioned in the narrative. So, what exactly he does is that he removes a portion of the thatch from inside his hut, and he scrambles onto the roof and he looks around. He sees a big boat moving north. He cries, and then they hear him and they began to row towards his hut, and they rescue him and his dependents. So, this situation of Chennan being on a platform above the floodwaters is a precarious situation. And if we apply Bremond's possibilities to this situation, what we get is this. Chennan desires escape and he is granted that. So, he gets away to safety with his family. So, the possibility, the alternative is realized or actualized for Chennan in the flood. I would call this as the first story within In the Flood. The first story is Chennan's story, and it has a happy ending. Chennan escapes and his dependents do, at least most of the dependents do. Now, there are 2 incidents from the first story which are kind of left behind for the second story to pick up and move forward. So, let us look at the 2 things that are left behind, and these 2 things have ramifications for the sequence or the second story within In the Flood. So, these 2 are the dog and the property which are left behind by Chennan. So, if we go back to the first story, Chennan doesn't immediately leave his hut as soon as the waters begin to rise, because if they left the hut, the 5 banana trees that were heavy with fruit and his hayrick would be stolen. Hayrick means haystack. So, he stays behind to look after his property. And the second aspect that's very interesting for us to kind of think about deeply is this. No one took notice of the dog who was still sniffing around in the western end of the hut. So, the dog is at the western end of the rooftop of the hut, while Chennan and his family escape via a boat. Now, I'm going to talk about the second story. The first story, as I said, was Chennan's story, and the second story is his dog's story. And this dog story also has a beginning, a cries, and a desire for resolution. And the big question is his desire resolved or realized? So, this is how the second story begins. When the dog eventually returned to the spot on the roof from which the family had made its escape, the boat was far away. The animal began to run around frantically on the roof, sniffing here and there, whining all the while. So, the dog doesn't realize that the family is making its getaway, and when it comes back to that spot from which they had left, it kind of runs around almost panicking, and it starts to cry or whine. If you look at this phrase, began to run around frantically, it somehow resembles Chennan's attitude when he removes the thatch from inside his hut, and then he gets onto the top of the roof to rescue. So, let's go back to that slide where Chennan scrambles just as his dog kind of frantically looks around. So, their actions seem to mirror or parallel one another, something that has very symbolic meaning and which we will come back to in later sessions. Now, let's look at how the story is set for Chennan's dog. So, this dog is on a rooftop. And we need to think about the sequence of events that is set up for this particular story. Who or what appears in Chennan's dog's story? What do they do? And what is their significance or role in this story? Now, these are the characters that appear in Chennan's dog's story. The first character that appears is a set of frogs. So, when the dog tries to sniff around along the rooftop, it disturbs some frogs, and one of them, before it jumps or leaps into the water, urinates on the face of the dog. And this has symbolic significance, which we will come back to again later in our evaluation of the story. The other character that follows the frog is a huge crocodile that floats past the house, gently brushing the half submerged roof. The word gently, or the idea of gently, is also very interesting in the context of a crocodile. That's a very, very insidious creature. And we are also constantly reminded that the dog is in a precarious situation, and the phrase half submerged roof is an indication of that. Now, the other very interesting detail that follows these set of characters is the reference to the Ramayana. And in this atmosphere, when there is rain, when there is flood water that is affecting the entire village, we have someone reciting verses from the Ramayana, and the dog listens to this recitation. The narrative says that the dog pricked up its ears when it heard a man reciting the Ramayana. It remained silent for a while, almost as if it was listening to the chanting of the verse, and then began barking again as loudly as it could manage. So, the dog listens to the recitation, and it barks again, and the implication could be that it's kind of seeking help, perhaps to this person who is chanting the verse. And let me give you a little bit of context to this recitation, which is apparently in Kerala. There's a tradition of reading and chanting from the Ramayana to ward off what they call the negative energy that is associated with the monsoon season. So, apparently this recitation or singing of the verses from the Ramayana is a protective mechanism kind of utilized or employed by the people to save themselves from injury due to heavy rains. Now, followed by this detail are another set of incidents or events in the story that the writer stitches in the story of Chennan's dog. Let's see what is the set of events. We have a fish popping up out of the water, and we have a crow eating from a carcass which Chennan's dog notices or observes, and he whines at that action because we can understand that the dog is terribly hungry and it wants to have its share of the carcass too, but that's something that it doesn't have at this particular point of time. And then we have frogs again leaping into the water. We have a green bird twittering in this environment, and then we have references to fleas on the dog's body that bite him, and later we have a colony of ants that also bite him when this dog disturbs their nest. And finally, we have another very interesting event where a snake kind of sneaks into the roof of Chennan's house. These incidents are also very, very symbolic, which we need to unpack to derive their larger significance. Now, what exactly are the meanings embedded in the set of events? Some of the meanings are that life itself is indifferent and life goes on despite it being a tragedy or a crisis to many others. For the dog, this is a crisis situation, but for the green bird that twitters, this is nothing but a little bit maybe different, but it is not affected by it. And life is harsh. See, for example, we have a dead body, a carcass floating on the water. That is tragedy for the creature that had lived, but then that carcass again becomes food for the crow. And life is about survival. Life is about the creatures sticking on to their life, sustaining themselves one way or the other, despite being threatened by factors from the environment. Now, we need to look closely at details that are constantly repeated, and one of the details that is repeated is the idea of carcasses floating in the water. The narrator says that the carcasses of drowned animals floated past the hut. The dog looked longingly at them and barked once or twice. And we need to again remember that the dog is starving and it wants to eat from a carcass, something that it eventually does towards the finale of the story with fatal consequences. Now, in terms of looking at a story, the method that I would advise is a series of close reading or a close scrutiny of the text, because this kind of method will not only provide them with close textual interpretation, but it will also offer the students thematic meanings in terms of the larger structure of the story in question. Thank you.